Hello and welcome to the show. It's a pleasure to have you with me. As promised, I will be following up on the ongoing weather crisis here in Australia. Joining us is our weather correspondent Rob Deutsch, who will be providing his expert analysis on what's taking place. So let's cross over to that interview now. Rob, thank you for joining me. You're the go-to guy whenever there is a weather crisis here in Australia. Firstly, how are you going over there?
I'm breathing, man. I'm breathing. Nobody's shooting at me. What more can we say with all the woes going on? I'm fine. I'm okay.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. We must be grateful for small blessings. Here, we're really being attacked by all the elements. There is major flooding, heavy rainfall, damaging winds. People have been displaced from their homes. The damage has been catastrophic. What is your take on this crisis?
It's biblical. It's man-made. It's geoengineering. It's the Paris Accord proposals actually happening, not an experiment going on. But over your skies, I well proved it and showed the documents that lead to that opinion.
Yeah, and we know this government and many others have a history of weather manipulation, geoengineering. We've covered this before when there was bushfires. There's a criminal element to this. And it looks like, yeah, there's definitely been manipulation involved. Would you agree?
Absolutely. And hopefully if the screen loads up, I would like to share a screen and show you where it allows this to happen. As sanctioned by the United Nations, because everybody asks who's doing it. I got to say, there's no guy with a switch at your radar beaming, right? It's too complicated. It happens through back doors of computer programs and stuff that actually control the radars themselves, and that can make them heat certain areas and use certain algorithms to produce certain effects that alter the weather and cloud in atmospheric conditions and dynamics.
And so cloud seeding, the Rainmaking Act, this is all fact. It's not conspiracy, is it?
No, the Rainmaking Act isn't conspiracy at all. However, I think how it's being interpreted is a bit misleading, because in that act itself, it tells you cloud seeding in that 2008 paper that cloud seeding takes an existing cloud and changes its dynamics to either make it rain or to not rain. We see evidence of certain types like that on ski resorts when they will make snow. Well, the Olympics was all man-made snow. That was geoengineering, engineering the Earth's climate. And I have here in front of me a paper. Do you mind if I share my screen?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I want to share this screen here. Right. Can you see that okay?
Yes, I can.
All right. This is the SIGI. I call it the SIGI papers. Right, like rolling papers.
Yep.
SIGI from number 111 from October of 2016, the Paris Agreement and climate geoengineering governments and the need for a human rights-based component. And what the meat and potatoes showed was page 13. This is the program. And if you go through this, I'll pop you a link so anybody can look this up. This is publicly available information because this is the United Nations, why they want. It gives overviews. Sorry if it's slow load, but I'm going to go right to what makes my point. So I'm trying to go up here to 13. Should have just typed it in. Here we go. Right here, under sulfur aerosol injection, HSI, talks about the potential delivery vehicles to use in the stratosphere, right? And right here clearly says artillery shells. You can hear a lot of explosions. It tells you the aircraft can be used right there. Remember, I've been talking about chem bomb balloons in the Strato cruiser. Right here it says the stratospheric balloons can be used. Remember, some people talked about surface air coolers steaming up stuff into the atmosphere. And right here it says hoses suspended in towers, cooling towers. Says it right here. And it gives all the studies in here with climatologists. If you look down the bottom of each page, tells you what sentences and studies they've referenced for the sell of this program. This is undeniable proof, Jeff, that geoengineering is real. You know, the cloud brightening programs showing the ship trails are very real. And it tells you this proposals are here. People talk about putting mirrors in space, right? They won't be aimed at us. And it has been proposed that the placement of 55,000, excuse me a minute, not as used to using my mouse on the corner of a small chair. Right there, 55,000 mirrors in random orbits, creation of a ring of dust particles guided by satellites at altitudes of 1,200 to 2,400 miles. That's more than a space fence, mate.
See, that explains it quite clearly. So if anybody's still naive or very skeptical that the government is influencing these weather patterns, that lists it all right there for them, doesn't it?
Yeah, that says it all plain as day there in that SIGI document. And it's publicly available information. You know, they paid for that study with public money. So we get access to some of it. I'll tell you another very interesting thing my research has dove into. I was looking at why are they hitting the Wollongong so hard? I couldn't understand this at all. So I started looking into the flood catchment areas because I was wondering if it was running into that dam. Some of it does, but most of it doesn't. But all the flood studies done in 2019 have been removed from the internet. I cannot find a single one for any of the towns. They did big studies back then and the information has been removed, Jeff. So I think it is up to maybe some people there to file for the freedom of information or whatever they call it there to get this information. All of them is instantly 505 error on the top and 404, which means the website's denied from either for logistics where you are in the world, but a 505 is removed. This is publicly available studies that were done in the town with the town's money. So go there and find out.
That's exactly right. It's taxpayers' money, and it's all very much criminal, the way they're hiding evidence, suppressing old data, trying to fabricate information. They're going to enormous lengths to cover up for this crime that's being perpetrated on people. And we know they've interfered with the jet stream. They have all types of technology that they can use to create floods and disasters. And they've been culpable for this in the past. So, yes, we have to scrutinize everything they do and really do our investigations when it comes down to this. And they try and act like they're doing the right thing, sending in the Australian Defence Force, when ultimately they're the ones carrying this out. So it's very nefarious. There's many levels to this, isn't there?
There really are. Right now, I'm loading up the actual radar screen because, you know, we're going to kick a talk about this. Let me show you the real conditions that are going on. We might as well. This is the opportunity to. People have got to defeat the Paris Accord. Don't you tell me your government would never harm you when they indiscriminately use microwave weapons that were not on stun, right? The long-term effects of these radiation burns from microwave, from looking into what would happen to people that work on and install these units, right? Yeah. Look into the 5G installers and those people that work on radio towers. And the radiation burns are up. They cause permanent damage. Until the waveform themselves calms down in their body, the damage is continuous. And just dermis burns is nothing compared to what's happened inside. That's the government has attacked its people to defend against the people's having a voice. Let's just call it that. A dissenting opinion is allowed in a democracy. Otherwise, it's not a democracy. It's fascism.
Exactly.
Plain and dry. Neo-fascism, call it what you will, corpo-fascism. You're getting done.
And they're using a combination of weapons, the sound cannon, sonic weaponry, the long-range acoustic devices. They're using the towers to radiate people. They're chemtrailing over the top, stratospheric aerosol injections. And, yeah, what they're doing, it's causing so much pain and misery. The lasting effects of this as well, it can range all through to sickness and disease, even cancer can come from it. So, yeah, they're really doing everything in their capacity to affect and really hurt as many people as they can. It goes back to their New World Order agenda as well, destabilize. And yeah, the map right now, we see Lismore has been completely destroyed. A lot of people won't be able to come back from this, and they're already suffering as it is with the restrictions and everything that's been implemented. And now this on top, it's like they're doing their best to break people. That's how it feels here at the moment.
They took out a voting block and destroyed a community. Let's go there. Who this with the smart heads and the healers that were independent of the system, that the system said your doctorate don't matter anymore because you don't do what Big Smothers says, right? They framing you for stuff. You'll get out of it, but in the meantime, it's clamped down your ability to do activism. But really, it hasn't, because you and I can talk from across the planet. Well, you ain't done yet. Yeah, they well targeted you from breaking in your house and all sorts. I'm following you. I'm very proud to call you friend.
Thank you. Likewise.
Look at these dumps over here. I'm going to turn these town names off. You was just saying indiscriminately. I'm telling you, I can show you right now. They're chemically attacking Australia with a weather bomb. They are creating it. You don't see squares like this in nature. Even the center here, I was hovering around and pointing at this dump here. Look at that trail come and go. Shouldn't all this be going in a circle like a big old toilet flush? Well, the shit's hitting the fan, man, and we're the blades. We're getting covered. That's a square farm. Now, they have to keep hitting it with chem in the center to keep the dynamics of the storm going, hot and cold, pressure high, low, to keep a circulation of squares going. Energy here off the coast. Lots of chem bombs have been deployed here. And those things ain't healthy to breathe in the fallout. And they go in the rain, man. That's in the groundwater. It's going in all the crops. Your dogs are licking it and drinking it in the puddles, and all the birds and animals are having that. We should never, like this here. I can't zoom in much closer. That's a chem bomb. That's one of that balloon method with artillery being in the gondola. That could be a flare going off, a firecracker, a mortar. They make stars of chemicals that glow certain colors. Well, you can make the color not show if you keep the heat down. People are reporting weird colored lightning I've been hearing all over the area. That's indicative of a firework, a chemical catalyst in the atmosphere. Look at the two directions of the flow. You got EMF on the low deck, and you got all these nanoparticulates up there, metals and whatever the geoengineers feel should be in the sky to do this, to make this storm that's flooding people out, to get everybody into the stack and pack smart cities. But you can see this deployment evenly spaced like a comet. Like there's something here with a coma going on. I don't know any other way I ain't found words for it yet, other than, man, this is wrong. Look what they're doing to you. You see the chem bomb going off? I could just roll it. It'd probably be easier on me.
And they don't expect people to understand weather maps and be able to study formations and patterns. So they rely on people to be naive about that, even though the councils have released paperwork and send out letters saying do not drink any tank water because of the trails and a lot of the spraying in the atmosphere. So it is admitted. If people just look into it and do further research and understand that this is not natural, what's taking place. Whereas some people are still under the illusion that it is. And they say, well, floods and fires, this has been happening ever since the dawn of man. So they just don't expect
the storm. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm looking at this right here. This is fucking impossible, Jeff. This is a live image. This should be circulating around fully. This shouldn't just go off in a different direction. Impossible. This shouldn't just go off like peter out. This is man-made. It's got some kind of energized beam right here. There's no other way to do that. Look at this streamer of squares at it. I'm sorry to have interrupted like that.
No,
these toxins are going over the oceans where the whales are, folks. Look at these streamers of that going over. I've been fighting this for years. And it goes on every day. And it's in your bodies, and it's got damn near the same ingredients. Yeah, don't anybody ever think different, but I think this is worse. because it's every day and it's been going on the whole time. I was going across Australia, screaming, hollering, and carrying on. Look at the square to that. It's not a circulation, but this is impossible. It's an impossible storm, these flows. You got stuff
really
going
is
this.
horrific.
It's not a good tourist field even. When you got something going like this and the cloud goes out in direction like right there, here you go. This makes this impossible. Right here. Now this is circulating around. You're going to see something coming out this direction. That's impossible. The flow is wrong, Jeff. Something's moving along, or something in the atmosphere is they do use sound in rockets. It's been well proven as well, and they advertise that. We had some big old funky lights over Norway a couple years back. Everybody was going, oh, but it was an actual experiment with aluminum, barium, and strontium being released at particular times and being excited in the atmosphere with HAARP. And using that information, Jim Lee has proven chemtrails with any meteorologist. And they can't deny that. It's a chemical from the periodic table. It is leaving a trail. So therefore, it is a chemical trail, a chemtrail. You can't deny this. It's off the periodic table. I'm sorry people didn't pay attention in school. We're too busy copying off my paper. But I love science. And you ain't got to be in a degree program to be one. You're a smart cookie, too. You see stuff. So what was you on about a moment ago? And I'm sorry about that.
That's right. We know it's something more sinister. It's not a condensation trail because it doesn't dissipate and it lingers all throughout the sky. So that's a telltale sign that it's definitely man-made. It's being manipulated, and it's all very sad. And there's another criminal element to this where they try and raise funds. They get millions of dollars worth of donations, and then that's not distributed accordingly. A lot of these charity organizations that they go under the guise of, like the Red Cross, they're not fulfilling their end. And a lot of people that have been ravaged by these floods, they don't receive compensation. They're not adequately reimbursed for what took place. So that leaves people destitute. And that's a whole nother level of evil to this as well, isn't it?
That, yeah, they're not giving insurance back to the people for their houses again. So they're telling them to move, just move. But we said that straight off. It was a land grab, get in the stacking pack. But I've been telling people for years now, sell your houses out in them valleys and pick your stacking pack before they pick it for you. And don't go in them camps.
Yeah,
don't,
exactly. And this is a tactic to destabilize people. And that way it keeps them off guard. And that way the population is more easily controllable, isn't it?
That's a very good point. Yeah, and you take away all their comfort logistics as well. All the stores are gone. Lismore was very important hub for supplies, actually. Byron's a boutique town, and every little farming community, all that counted on Lismore. Casino as well was a shopping town with a market, but it didn't have the same kind of shopping. Yeah, I've been there.
And we really have to drive home the point that the government is responsible for this.
Jeff, when didn't they have a certain area they wanted? Yeah, I've done a little bit of digging. Hey, remember when we covered the fires?
Yeah, and that was very well received. So much information, and that shed so much light on what took place.
Well, Jeff, I got a similarity. I got a similarity in the map, in the smart cities, in the proposals. This is just a picture I have up from a program. Notice where the floods. Why are the floods on this side of the mountain suddenly? Right? From Grafton to here, it went on this side. Smart city, I'm here. How they weather bombed every one of your major cities all at once. But this side here is copping it. And it's right in this big square here. Now I'm going to close this one out. Stop that share. Start a different one. Excuse me a minute. Playing with my program here.
But yeah, we're so fortunate to have people like yourselves with knowledge and expertise to bring to the table here.
Now, if I look at this is their excuse and the cost for some of their high-speed rail links. It's just some imagery I pulled up because I was wondering about something, right? As I can see if I can get this down a bit. You know, I was wondering why Gosford and that and why Newcastle. Well, here's a hub. This is a meeting place for two high-speed rail lines that are proposed. And this is their figures. So why would they be flooding this area out? Again, I go land grab. There's a lot of silicas there. The area around Cuyahoga through Byron, their clay is very rich in what you make graphene out of. That's graphene. Yeah,
Right.
people complain about graphene, but you can make graphene oxide out of the soils around in here.
Wow, that's interesting.
There's golds and aluminas all in these mountains. You know, I looked at why in between. But again, I'm seeing that rail map and I'm watching the storms and I'm watching the floods and say, well, you know, there's another rabbit hole to dig for us. So I wanted to show you that even when I look over toward the western side of things here, you know, we were seeing flooding through here. And again, it's another rail line. It wasn't just to keep the activists off the road, but boy, they made sure they was flooded. They nearly killed them people on the roads. They killed them in their beds instead. What a disgusting government you got there. I'm sorry, man. I got to call it like it is. What a bunch of fucking scumbags. All of them. Bags of fucking scum.
I totally agree. And we're all going through the emotions, anger, misery, heartbreak. A lot of people are crying, angry. We're really feeling it. And it's just devastating. It's one thing after another here. And it's so much to contend with. And it keeps people in a state of suspense, not knowing what's next. And then you add the war element on top. Yeah, people are nervous wrecks, and rightfully so. That's why we have to do whatever we can in our capacity to try and expose this mass corruption. That's all we can possibly do, because the government wants everyone to feel like they're powerless, which isn't the case.
Well, you know, we got, I'm going to bring up some page here. I'm trying not to use rabbit hole sites to show stuff. I want to use actual Harvard because they're the ones that did it. I've shown this document. One of these documents at another show before. So I want to do a different one.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
The breaking down of small business. We've seen so many people, they've gone bankrupt. They've had financial devastation. And if there's business managed to last this long, well, now a lot of chances are that it won't in future with these floods. People won't be able to recover from it. So, yeah, mass devastation.
Okay, got it. I'm going to share the screen here. Okay, back in business again, mate. Okay, I'm going to share my screen again. And this time, I want to show you the balloon method and the artillery method combined into one device. Right, this is known as the Strato Cruiser. The Strato Cruiser, I'm just going to keep bringing it up on the side over here. So I'll move that. It's a great big upper atmospheric balloon with a gondola on it that sprays things. Right, a gondola, right, a platform they could put things.
Yeah.
This is electronics, inlet. You know, it has nozzles on them, right, for dispersing. And it's not this small little thing here. I mean, this thing takes a crane to put up, which I'm hoping to find pictures of. Why they got the Hubble, I don't know. But you can click on these links about the Strato Cruiser flight system and see the variousnesses of what they're talking about. I'm hoping this is all shared. Yep. And this is a real device. I'm not making this up. Harvard actually proposed all this, and the ScopeX program they say was canceled. You can see it was picked back up. So they'll say one place dropped it this year. They don't like it being exposed. You know, it's just like Prima Biomed's board member being married to somebody. Then they changed the name of the company, didn't they?
Yep.
And then fired that person. So we couldn't be correct about it anymore.
Very calculated. And the lengths that they go to, and they use all this advanced technology for sinister reasons.
Yeah, these things even have EMF emitters on them on some of the pictures I was seeing. This page isn't doing really the best about it. This is Anderson Research Group of Chemistry and Physics and Climate and Earth System Change. Okay, this is real. This is Harvard. Okay, we're not, Jeff, you and I ain't showing stuff that isn't real information.
Yeah.
This is our oppressors' university here, where they have a private club that's the opposite of Skull and Bones. They're the Reds, and Skull and Bones are the Blues, right? Don't you see Reds and Blues in your houses of commons that have no commoners in them anymore?
It's all very much color coded, isn't it?
Yeah, so color coded. Yeah, that's a good word for it. That was just some pictures of the Strato cruisers, and you'll see others of the geoengineering balloons. If I take this out and just put in Scope S and just take the name of that one particular device, you'll start to see other things. Like Project Loon was to give 5G to the planet, but it was also an atmospheric perturbation experiment. That's what Scope X is too. And these, when I say these ain't small, I mean, that's a truck down there.
Wow.
Right. This isn't that little balloon that guy's holding on to coming out of that airplane hangar. These things are massive. And I'm saying massive. This is not small. Test flight for sun blocking research is canceled. Bullshit. It was not canceled. People just got fucked off about it and they just didn't do it openly. Because I showed you it being done.
That makes perfect sense that they would do that.
You see whose face is here, don't you? He has funded this to the tune of $25 million, giving it to David Keith, who was doing experiments out in Arizona. Yes, that's fact as well.
And a lot of them tried to do it under the guise of global warming. They're trying to block out the sun. They say they're trying to do it for humanitarian reasons, which is absolutely false.
I'm telling you, here it's some chalk dust. Get the fuck out of here, you lying sack of Bill Gates fucking gatekeeping ass shit. Yeah, I fucking went there. They did. That's another scumbag. I'm sorry, I ain't holding no punches. I'm so fucking upset them killing them people. There's 400 people not accounted for yet. Just one town. Just one town. The death toll is going to be in the thousands. They're out in the woods where the water ran. That's where they're going to find them, wedged in trees.
It's so tragic.
Yeah, I'm actually almost in just shock over it. I've covered this thing from start to finish, from the formation of the storm through the time, then got called I was sensationalizing off. I was like, excuse me, I gave a weather warning so you guys wouldn't get trapped on the roads down in Canberra. You would know a different route. I was just looking out for y'all. I may not agree with everything y'all are doing, but I damn sure agree that we need to have some change in that I won't stop you. That's your oneness. You know, these things are very, very real. I'm going to stop that share again. If something else tickles my mind, I'll pick up my keyboard and pop it on the screen for you. Because I'm all about showing you why I say what I do.
Yeah, and that's a very clear way to get the message across and illustrate the point too, when you can back it up with facts, research, and all of this is well documented. So that casts away any doubt that people may have, which is very important. And it's crucial that we do this investigative research at this point in time. It really is horrendous. The women and children that are suffering as well. People have spent years trying to build up a life and a stable home, and then that's all been taken out right from underneath them. Catastrophic weather damage. We've seen power lines go out. People haven't got electricity, and yeah, it's just so much affecting people at the moment. And, you know, a lot of people are in an extreme state of distress over this. And, yeah, we need teams out there, rescue teams out there trying to find any victims or people that are trapped. But, yeah, it's a full-time job trying to counteract the government corruption and try and stay one step ahead. We're doing a superb job of that today. And I appreciate the maps that are being brought up. It really helps the viewers get an understanding of the dire situation that we're in and the criminal elements that are behind it.
Well, this is square form storms. This isn't round. This is that circulation center. I've just pulled up NASA Worldview, so I could give you the current image from March 7th. I can go back to any day. For years, it'd show you the skies over your country. I've been covering them a long time. That's microwaves. That's a chem bomb plume. That's one of the ones I show you that was shooting out. I showed you it live, moving. No, this is the image. Look at the square edge to that, Jeff. It's like you get a table that's round. You get a bunch of people standing around. Everybody puts their hand on the table. And one person takes their hand off, the table will start to move in a circle because there's less pressure. Well, if you get squares and you push here, and then here, but you don't push there, you can cause a turn through outflow of heated air.
Yeah.
Now look at this push here. So that's pushing that. Now you'll start to understand a little what I see when I predict a snarm. That's pushing there, but it's also pushing back that way, right? Because everything's flowing like that. It's not just flat. You got to think more than just on one plane when you think about this. Pardon the pun about planes. But, you know, everything ain't sprayed by planes no more. They've come a long way with geoengineering. Yeah. The airlines, you surely did not want to get in trouble for poisoning us, right? So they found other ways to do it. And that chem bomb program is a good one. And being sold by a young lass with curly hair, big old Pippi Longstocking things, and backing up a group that's bent on making all rebellion on the planet extinct is what I see the name of that group. And this is Brisbane. This is Brisbane today. Yeah. This is Brisbane yesterday. We see the flood waters going out here, contaminating everything from the land. You can see this all over your coast. Because the only break you've had in the clouds has been that day. Right. You can start to see the stain here from stuff that's been draining out, but the river itself is clogged. See what I mean? You ain't getting no sunlight to dry nothing. You're getting fried with microwaves over here. If they focused that beam down, it would be like an LRAD. But that's a big disperse over a wide area. And again, a square, a scalar square of scalar energy. People that know a bit of science, I'll throw that word into the mix. Microwaves, plasma clouds in a plasma soup, because plasma doesn't necessarily have to be super hot. Look at this chemtrail here, just going to just feed in. Now it's on the 6th.
That shows it all, doesn't it? Constant, torrential, consistent rain.
Let's look at your house. You know, we can go back a few days. You guys were the setup for a lot of chem that got sent over to Capitol, especially during the protests. I covered it, how they chem bombed that protest, even the one that was allowed to happen. You guys copped it. Look at this crap down here over your city.
And a lot of these floodwaters are polluted too. You do not want to be swimming in there.
No, but you got chem on right off the coast of Melbourne, in between Tassie there over in the Bass Strait. I think I got that. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Nailing that geography. Square Farm. Square Farm's there. It's everywhere in the world. It's not just Australia. Well, I need Australia to say no. Vote no to the Paris Accords, and I will be happy about that.
Brilliant. That gives people a strategy to work on. And we know they have all this technology and HARP as well, beaming up lasers and pulsates into the ionosphere. And interfering with jet streams. It's a whole combination of weather weapons being used against us here.
Yeah, and this is March 4th there, right about the apex of when things were about to hit the fan. When I seen that deployment there, I said, right, with that deployment there and this square across the coast right here, I said, there, you guys are going to get a flood. And that's when I decided to issue a warning. I saw this. And I saw this. And at the time, there was an EMF beam as well, a big one, which I showed on the video. It's out there to be looked at, scrutinized, and used as evidence. You don't have to use my voice. You don't have to say Robert Deutsch did this. Why? Because it doesn't matter me doing it. It's a matter what you're going to do about it. I told you, it's good enough for me. So that was the proceedings. When I saw that move there, and the evidence of the EMF cut is actually right here. You see a different line to the cloud here than here. And when I saw that move, it actually divided this moisture, allowing its momentum to spin freer. It's like if you're dragging a string, right, coiling up a cable, it's hard on your hand. If you cut it close to your hand, suddenly all that momentum, your hand will suddenly spin really fast. Well, that whipped this all around. And the storm dynamics from this one here is what fed it. Your storm was fed from here. And I showed that too. This is evidence on the fort. I'm going to keep it over the same area. Keep feeding it from this one area. Chem plumes and EMF. EMF will travel like a wire through other chem. So what you energize here will energize this here if the mass of clouds touching or close enough together to interact. Yeah.
And that's very valuable with your knowledge and research of how to understand these maps, weather formations. You're able to predict this ahead of time. And hopefully you would have warned a few people and they would have taken advantage of that intel, and maybe they might have been able to reach higher land, higher grounds, and protect themselves and their families. So what you're doing is very much life-saving work, and I hope you really feel good about that.
I do, but I feel terrible that I had to tell about something like this. For half a decade, I gave up everything I had and traveled this planet and then arrived right back in England with nothing. But the Paris Accord still hadn't passed, so I arrived back in the plant back here, feeling successful about that, thwarting it. And yeah, I've actually gotten messages of entire communities have been saved by my warning, the thousands of lives I've saved, and that really hit me right in the feels. And my computer's not working good, so people are pitching in bits and bobs so I can have something that'll function. And I actually want your advice on what kind of build, so I can have something that streams good enough to show stuff. This is going to be a bit choppy, but I've really shut everything down. I went in my DOS and killed some of my programs, so I don't have my maps anymore and all my pictures. But I saved my videos. I refuse to delete those. It's evidence.
You're doing fantastic work, and I know some of the feedback, a lot of us here on the ground are very grateful for that. So, you know, it takes away some of the fear because, you know, someone's doing their research. You've done your homework on it, and that's the real assistance, because we can't rely on the mainstream media to give us information. The Weather Channel, they're not going to absolutely tell you what's behind it, what's causing this, and what to expect. They'll just give you a basic rundown, but it doesn't actually get to the root of the problem, does it?
Wow, the root of the problem is us continuing to go along with it, not making it stop. I mean, we're going along with protest rules that are designed for our failure, right? Even in the States, free speech zones where when you wanted to protest, let's say a Republican National Convention or Democratic Convention, they gave you a place to protest. That was the bottom level of a parking deck on the other side of town. It's not a very effective way to get your slogans out. It was very undemocratic. And in your areas, when they had stuff, Antifa people have been showing up, ain't they?
Yeah,
even Antifa people. Oh my God, it's horrible. This black op ninja private army crap that we all have to put up with.
Yeah,
and they do have the money for this.
We're seeing all of it. Controlled opposition for this new world order. They're sparing no expense when it comes to getting this across the line, and they've even ordered 5 more of these long-range acoustic devices, and possibly even another load of them after that. So when it comes down to the devastation, they want to make sure that everyone suffers.
Yeah,
it really is horrendous.
I do think that an image of somebody with a boomerang throwing one inside one of those L-rods and sticking it in it would be about as iconic as you can get for defending your country, because they come for Black Men Gene again. And I just told my mob something as plain as I could put it. Right? They come. You're next. They take you with weather. They take your bird. They take your plant. They take you. I had to learn to speak to people up there in Queensland and stuff, because I had to warn them too, and I didn't know how to communicate.
So for people that are stuck in these flood zones, you recommend they should try and reach higher ground, try and head up to the mountains. How would they try and avoid?
Right now, it's a done bun. You gotta pretty much stay put. The roads are rumbling. Mountain roads are coming down while you're on them. Would not be a good way to remember your family going over a cliff with a camper tied to the back. The Queensland road at the border up there.
New South Wales past the Lismore Bridge is impassable.
Mm-hmm.
Still coming down, and a lot of the mountain roads are coming down. The bridges are unstable. They took out your ability to get to the capital with trucks. So truck go over one of their bridges, that's it. The infrastructure has been seriously undermined. I don't know a better way to put it. There's no place for the truck to go supply anything. The supplies are gone. Right? That's it. Then the roads in and out are gone. Some of your main highways should be all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But remember, any highway is a dry riverbed. Okay, know this. Everything will drain down toward a valley or under a bridge. You think that's the best place to be. Sometimes you get trapped underneath one of those fucking bridges when them girders. This ain't tornado where you watch it go by. This is a flood. It'll drown your ass.
That's life-saving advice. People really need to be, very strategic in these times. And try and see people on top of their roof. They've climbed onto the roof of their house. They're trying to wave down air support. And they're doing everything in their power to try and stay above water. People even climbing up trees. And
I do think that part of the flood's done. You'll have some flash flooding hitting in the valleys and stuff, but the main deluge, I don't see the river of moisture there. The tendrils aren't there. The 24-hour rain totals are there, but not stretched over 5 days where it got worse and worse. You had a situation, you were having 188 mils of rain falling every 3 hours. It's not a little bit of rain. That's fucking a lot. But the storm might have only been over there dropping that for an hour, but that's a lot. That's a year's worth of rain coming all at once. Right? So your statistics for the year will say you had lots of rain. You can get droughted out right now. Perfect for the fire season. But your statistics will say you had too much rain this year. Something was wrong. Temperature was odd. Right? I think the biggest risk now I hope I don't put my foot in my mouth too much along the way.
You're doing a wonderful job. And on a positive note, we've seen a few Freemasonic lodges flooded out. So we got to look at the positives and always look at the bright side in these very dark times.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Terrific.
What?
Thank you very much for coming on the broadcast. You've done sensational today. And I really very much appreciate it. We'll talk again soon. Thank you. Well, that concludes today's broadcast. For those of you that would like to make a donation into the We Are Change fund for legal costs and to cover the operation here, information will be in the description below. And I'll catch you on the next episode of the We Are Change talk show. Thank you once again.